Hey guys, it's Hart. Welcome back to the channel. Today I'll be breaking down the two-game slate we have for tonight. We have Boston versus Philly, and we have the Suns versus the Denver Nuggets. So two fantastic games here. I can't wait to watch them. Hopefully they both go to Game Seven. That'd just be great as a NBA fan. Just seeing two Game Sevens here between some really good teams here. So I'll be breaking down this two-game slate, going over my early look core plays, as well as a game-by-game breakdown, talking through who I like, who I don't like, kind of the optimal build, the chalky build for tonight's slate. So make sure you hit that like button and subscribe. Check out my Patreon link down below where I'll have more up to date core plays and kind of breaking it down of who I'm actually going to target in the lineup build for tonight. That will be on my Patreon. So yeah, hit that like button and let's get into this breakdown. Before I get into the breakdown, I just want to do a quick recap of my lineup from last night. Another very frustrating night. Just did not get rewarded at all for my plays here. Can't run worse. You can't. Gabe Vincent, 7% owned, actually on pace to have a very solid game there. Probably go for mid 20s fantasy points. Massive foul trouble. He got pulled 3 minutes into the third quarter there when he was doing solid and did not come back until the last 3 minutes of the game. So 7% owned. The faders got absolutely bailed out because he was on pace to actually have a really solid game there. Went for 17 fantasy points, screwed me. The core plays for me and my Patreon were Reeves, Wiggins, who both had really good games there. 34 fantasy points for Reeves, 43 for Wiggins, Randall, who went for basically 40, which is just average. And then Steph Curry, 45. So the core plays are solid. It's just my other plays. I like playing super risky. That's kind of my GPP strategy is just to get super risky and different because if it hits, it'll take down. But unfortunately, just could not run good yesterday there with my plays. Gabe Vincent foul trouble. He lost a ton of minutes. Obviously, Reeves, Wiggins, Randall, we're all fine. But like Julius Randall, like really, I talked about my breakdown how I really like Jalen Brunson. He's obviously the better play over Randall. I lean towards him over Randall. And then, of course, I go to Randall. What does he do? 1 of 7 in the first quarter, does not come back until the last 3 minutes. Does nothing, hits a last second three to kind of salvage something. Does decent in the third quarter, and then does nothing in the fourth. It's just like, come on. And then of course, Jalen Brunson's just absolutely punishing me by going for another 60 bomb back to back slates while I get punished, playing Julius Randle. It's just like super frustrating there. Mitchell Robinson actually had a solid game. Wish he could get that double points there. That would have been an extra like 4 or 5 points, which would have been super solid. Jordan Poole, becoming a super low ownership. I wanted to take that risk there. As I mentioned, I like playing super risky. I was decided between Grimes and Draymond Green, or go Jordan Poole, Kevin Love, and obviously the route I went did not work because I probably would have had to pay down at another position if I did go with Grimes and Draymond Green, but I wanted to keep Steph Curry in there and kind of keep these other guys in there. So decided to go this route. Obviously, did not work. Jordan Poole actually it was okay. Played 23 minutes, 5 of 14. Couldn't really shoot once again. Kevin Love absolutely screwed here. He was actually on pace to have a very solid game, but just went 2 of 10 overall, 0 of 7 from three, could not hit a shot there in 16 minutes. So that was super frustrating because he would have got extended. Like he was playing super solid and they needed offense and he could not hit a shot. So got screwed there. And then Steph Curry just didn't really do much the last few minutes of the game because they were up like 12 to 15 points. So yeah, just a super frustrating day yesterday just because of, kind of getting screwed on actually, pretty solid tournament plays there with lone guys. It's just like, there's not much you can do. It's hard to run worse there. But moving on to this two-game slate today, as I mentioned, should be a great two-game slate for tonight. Boston versus Philly, 2.5 point spread. Boston's actually favored, even though they are on the road. This game is in Philadelphia. 212.5 game total. And then the Nuggets versus Suns is a 3 point spread favored to the Suns, 226 game total. So should be two great games for tonight. Looking across the board, I mean, the stars look fantastic. It's going to be really hard to there's really no right or wrong when it comes to stars. When it comes to Jokic, Booker, Durant, Tatum, Embiid, and Harden, it really just comes down to who you like the best. Maybe if someone's super high owned, you can pivot to the other plays. But I think all of them are going to kind of be spread out in terms of their ownership. Jokic will probably come in as the highest owned guy, maybe by 10%, maybe a little bit more, maybe by 15. Um, so you can definitely fade him, but he's been a huge part of that offense. He's been throwing up 75 bombs pretty much the past 4 games. So it's hard to get away from him. But yeah, all the stars look great. The popular lineup build for tonight will probably be stars and scrubs once again. People are going to jam in Jokic. They'll probably jam in one of Booker or Durant. Let's just say Booker, and then obviously you're left with 4,700 left over. You really can't fit in another star unless you just start jamming in all the just the random value, like guys like if you want to take a shot on like a Terrence Ross, like who else we got here in this range? Like you'd have to probably throw in a jock. Like you have to throw in who else we got here? Like a TJ Warren. It's just like it's viable, I guess, but you'd really need all those. You're relying too much on the scrubs there. So I don't think a 3-star build is viable. It's going to be more of a 2-star build, but yeah, a lot of people, most people will go to Jokic to start off the lineups there. But if you want to get contrarian, I'd say a mid-range build is definitely your friend today. It's one on this slate 2 days ago. It's the one that was most optimal and one. It was the lineup that had Harden, it had Maxi, it had Harris. So it was a very solid mid-range build there. Um, so if you want to get different, definitely go with a mid-range build today because the stars and scrubs will be super chalky today, even though the value is just not good across the board. But that will still be the popular play there to go with that build. So Boston, Philadelphia. For the Boston side, as I mentioned, I love Tatum. Comes in at a great price tag. He's been doing everything, even when he's got off to very poor starts there. 2 points by halftime and 2 games ago, and then he got I think 0 points or 2 points there in the first quarter. So once again, he's struggling in the first quarter, but he really turns it on there in the second half. So I think he looks fantastic. I really like Jalen Brown, even though he's been absolutely punishing me every single game so far. He's just been just non-aggressive. I just don't know why, but he's been non-aggressive. So I guarantee I don't play him tonight, and he goes for like a 60 bomb. I would not be surprised. But yeah, he comes at a very solid price tag. They're going to need him. Win or go home game here. I love the mid range here for Boston. It's no surprise. A lot of people do. Horford, if he's should see 30 plus minutes if he's hitting the shots. Just could not hit a shot last game. Still won for 18 fantasy points. So he's solid there, 5,500. I like all the guards. Smart will probably be the most popular just because he should close and see the most minutes. But Brogdon and White are both solid plays. I think White will be the lowest owned of those three guards just because really hasn't flashed the ceiling. He's been doing very bad since that Atlanta series. He's just kind of fallen off a cliff. So for that reason, I don't mind landing on him, but he's absolutely punished me every slate so far. So it's going to be hard to get to him. Once again, would not be surprised if he goes for a 60 bomb here if I fade him. Robert Williams, he's absolutely screwed me the past three slates. It's kind of the same story over and over again. He actually got 19 minutes, which is the most he saw since the first 2 games there, but he did absolutely nothing. So I think he's once again a super solid but risky GPP option there at 3,600. If you're looking for some value of a guy who actually will see 20 minutes and is productive, but just hasn't been productive recently. Grant Williams, 3,200. Probably sees 10 minutes at most. Don't think you need to go there unless you think one of the forwards for Boston, like a Brown or Tatum, getting massive foul trouble. But still, they could definitely just throw in one of the guards. In Grant Williams is not guaranteed those minutes, and that's really it. So moving on to the Philadelphia side. Right now, I think I'm just going to throw in Smart. Right now on the Philadelphia side here, Embiid looks fantastic. He was on pace to go for another 60 bomb there, but just did not grab enough rebounds, but still went for 4 blocks. So we know the upside's there. Should play close to 40 minutes in this spot here. So love Embiid, love Harden, 8,700. He went for a 50 bomb, even though he only shot the ball 8 times. So we know the upside with Harden's massive, even playing alongside Embiid. So I think he looks great there, 8,700. I talked about how I really liked Maxey and Harris as mid-range options there. They both had fantastic games last game. 45 bomb for Maxey, 30 real life points, and then 32 bomb there for Tobias. Probably would have got even more, but he got massive foul trouble there, so he only saw 31 minutes. But he was having a very solid game there. So yeah, Maxey and Harris really carried the Celtics that last game, or excuse me, the 76ers last game. So if you're going with the mid-range build, Maxey and Harris are going to be your best options in that mid-range. I'd prefer Maxey over Harris. And then obviously in that Denver game, Aaron Gordon, MPJ are going to be your mid-range guys. I prefer MPJ over Gordon, but I think Gordon's a solid pivot. So those four are going to be your solid mid-range plays. Melton, okay value. It's just one of those things. Like he hasn't been aggressive. We know he's upside there, as we saw in that 3 games ago, went for 37. But that was because Tobias Harris got in massive foul trouble, and Melton got 4 steals, so that's 8 points there extra, and he got 8 rebounds, which is obviously a huge outlier. He just kind of got a bunch of outliers. So it's like, yeah, he can go for mid-20s fantasy points. I don't mind him there at 4,200. It's just, you kind of need some foul trouble or for the starting five to do bad for him to be aggressive. But yeah, he's an okay play there at 4,200. Tucker, House, Reed, all dart throws. They went to House over McDaniels. McDaniels kind of followed the rotation, so they needed like another forward. They went with House. He was super energetic. Actually had a solid game there. I wouldn't chase, but if you want some dart throws, Tucker, House, and Reed are your guys. Even though I probably wouldn't throw Reed in there just because he's not going to get minutes. He's the backup five, and obviously they're going to go with Embiid. But yeah, those are the dart throws. Moving on to Denver and Phoenix here. Obviously, Jokic been unbelievable, pretty much averaging 75 fantasy points the past 4 games. Going to be hard not to play him. But if you don't play him, I'd say you want to get to at least one or two of the Denver guys just because the offense is going to have to come from somewhere. Either Jokic struggles or he has an average game, and guys like Murray step up again and MPJ step up. So Murray, love him. More of an okay game there, just kind of a quiet game, 36 fantasy points, but still, we know the upside with him. He should be super aggressive. Win or go home game there for the Suns. So it's like Jamal Murray, they're going to want to close him out because they don't want to go to game 7 here with the Suns. 8,200, love him at that price tag. MPJ, he's been super chalky. I expect him to be super chalky once again. Like if he hits his shots, we know the upside is there. It's just can he hit his shots and can he stay out of foul trouble? If he does, he should see at least 35 fancy points, if not a few more. But we know he can get in foul trouble and he can miss his shots. And if that happens, his minutes, trend down. Then he usually only goes for like mid 20s fancy points at most. So he is definitely risky in terms of just how much ownership he'll probably be having tonight, but I think he's still a solid play. Aaron Gordon's a great pivot off of Chalky and PJ. His ceiling's not as high, but his floor is still pretty much the same as an MPJ. You're just hoping for that one ceiling game from Aaron Gordon, which it could be tonight. Who knows? Bruce Brown, a solid play here. Played him last night. It was great, 35 fantasy points, but I don't think we can expect 25 points from Bruce Brown. 9 to 10 from the free throw line. A little bit of outliers there, but he should be playing mid 20s minutes. And we know he's decently productive. So I still think he's a solid play there, even at 4,800. KCP, a decent pivot play off of Bruce Brown. Should see uh, into the 30s minutes. It was actually productive last game, even though before then he wasn't really productive. But yeah, I think he's a solid pivot play in terms of ownership off of Bruce Brown. And then that's really it. Jeff Green will play some minutes. I guess he's a dart throw contention. And same thing with Christian Brown. So, yeah, not much love there in terms of value. And then onto the Phoenix side here. Once again, I love Durant, 9,900. I don't know if I'll go with this lineup build, but we'll see. But yeah, I love Durant there. Decided between him and Tatum. Tatum's obviously been a little bit better, but Durant just keeps getting off to these starts where he goes like 1 of 10 in the first quarter. It's so annoying. Every single game so far this series, he's gone 1 of 10 in the first quarter. I'm not even lying. Go back and look. He's gone like 1 of 10 every single start to these games. 10 of 27 there, 12 of 31, 11 of 19. Really turned on in the second half there, but then another 10 of 24. He just can't hit a shot, and he's still going for like 50 plus. So I love Durant in a winner go home game. They're gonna need everything from him. Same thing with Booker. I still prefer Durant over Booker just because I think Booker's numbers are going to come down. I mean, it's unrealistic to average like 70% shooting. As we saw last game, it was starting to come down 42%, but still, that's really solid. Still went for 42.5. We know the upside is there with rebounds and assists, and he's going to play a ton of minutes. So it's hard not to like Booker there. Chris Paul's still out. Aiden, I talked about last game how he could be a solid play. He went for 32. So it's like if he stays out of foul trouble, he does have some upside there at 5,700. So once again, I think he's a very solid mid range play. Definitely super risky, but definitely solid. Campaign, I still think is a solid play. Just not really involved in the offense, but we know he's upside, especially if he can hit a few shots. So it's like he's seen 30 minutes, 4,700. I don't mind taking a shot on him. And then the value is just all over the board, all over the place, all over the board. Hard to really trust. I mean, Shamit's probably been the most trustworthy the past 3 games in terms of minutes. He's actually been okay productive wise. So it's like, I don't mind him. He'll probably be the most popular. I don't know if I want to chase Landell. It looks like he's the backup big. Should play, mid teens. He's decent productive as well. I guess he's a solid value. TJ Warren played 15 minutes. Terrence Ross will play some minutes as well. So it seems like they're just going to roll with those 4 guys. They're all going to play like mid-teens minutes. Shamit will probably play the most, but they'll go with a hot hand throughout the game. So it's just like, if Shamit's doing bad, they're going to roll with Warren and Ross. So they're all in play. I don't feel great about them, but they're all there. And that's really it for this breakdown. To throw in a 4th guy, I do really like Harden. Obviously, it doesn't leave you with too much left over if you're going to go with this build. So I'll probably switch things up closer to lock there. But yeah, this is what I'm liking. If you guys like the video, hit that like button and subscribe. Check out my Patreon link down below and check out my PrizePicks video, which should be out after this. Peace.